welcome to Leading Entrepreneurs of the World. My name is Glenn Turansky, and I am a member of the advisory board here at One Business World. Leading Entrepreneurs of the World features entrepreneurs, founders, business leaders presenting on cutting-edge topics and the latest industry developments. Today, we're very pleased to welcome leading global entrepreneur Mirhan Mandour. Mirhan is the founder and managing director of SalesARM-Digiteam, the award-winning sales digitization and gamification solution used by top-tier financial institutions around the world. She is a passionate entrepreneur and a seasoned professional in the banking field. Besides her experience at Societe Generale, Mirhan was a senior consultant for many major banks in the Middle East, helping them improve their methodology in the areas of wealth management and retail banking sales. At Digiteam, Mirhan and her team guide, engage, and track sales teams through sales digitization and gamification mobile solution. Mirhan helps organizations grow their businesses leveraging mobile technology to digitize sales as well as relationship management. Mirhan is also the founding member of the MENA FinTech Association, where she leads the Women in FinTech Committee. Mirhan, we're very happy to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. It's early evening in your part of the world, so thanks for jumping on here in the United States. It's still in the morning. We look forward to hearing about Digiteam and your solution, and I'm happy to hand it over to you. And welcome.
Thank you very much, Glenn. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited to share with you all the insights about digitizing the human channel. This is something I've been working on for a number of years now, and I have a lot to share with you. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. If I can share my screen. So basically, this talk is for anyone who wants to grow their business. It's all about sales at the end of the day. That's how we make money. So sales and relationship management now are at the forefront, particularly during those challenging times. You know, organizations are looking for ways to go digital to increase efficiency. So shifting to digital channels, but also digitizing the human channel. I mean, the teams that interact with clients can be so much more efficient and deliver outstanding results if we leverage digital technology. So how do we do that? You know, it's a bit like giving your team members an Iron Man suit. You know, Tony Stark was just a regular human being with the capabilities of a mortal, but he could do so much more with his suit. And similarly, that's how Digiteam helps augment the human capabilities of sales teams. You know, we have limited memory, we have limited focus, and like, so we augment those human capabilities to deliver results, you know, tangible results. So that's why we built Digiteam, which is a mobile first solution. Mobiles are now like an extension of our body, you know, like we rarely part with our mobile phones. They're with us all the time. So you can think of it a bit like a customer relationship management solution or an extension to a CRM, but very specifically focused on driving and managing sales activities and deals pipeline, workflow, gamifying sales best practicing, coaching sales teams, real-time collaboration and geolocation. So all of these things that really are focused on driving the business. So Digiteam can be a standalone or on-premise. It could be on the cloud, and you know, it can also be integrated with other systems, whether they're CRM systems, core systems, or data warehouses as required. Now, we have received prestigious awards, including Best FinTech, Best Innovation, and we have established excellent partnerships. But most importantly is really the results that we have achieved at top-tier financial institutions in the region. in the areas of wealth management, priority banking, direct sales, cards, loans, mortgage finance, business banking, or SME banking. Digiteam has been part of major transformation projects, digital transformation projects led by top consultancy firms worldwide. So what I'm going to talk to you today is even if you're not from the banking sector, we just happen to focus on banking, but all the concepts I will talk about today can be relevant to you no matter what business you work in. The core idea is pretty much the same. I'll be talking about how we can guide a junior salesperson, how to pass leads to them and tell them what to do, but right up to a senior, seasoned relationship manager, even if you're the owner of your business, the concepts I'll talk about here are the same and you can benefit from them. So through these implementations, we have seen outstanding results. Just by going digital, with that sales, with your sales teams, we saw an increase in sales of up to 30%, and sometimes even more. And you will see how it's really not rocket science, but it's really going back to the basics and ensuring that everybody is following the discipline using the digital technology that we're providing. So increasing sales, improving customer experience, and building stronger client relationships. So I'll even talk to you later on in the presentation about how you can really strengthen those client relationships that you currently have. So if it sounds too good to be true, it's really is quite simple. In fact, it's about going back to the basics and building a discipline around following these internationally agreed upon best practices. So when times were good, we could afford to just look at the sales results. We can all see the closed sales that we have in our business. But do we know the pipeline? Do we know the effort that goes into that sale? Some sales managers who are leading teams would say, you go out there, you get your target. I don't care what you do. You just bring that to me and that's it. But now we have to look under the hood. We really need to understand all the effort and the very specific process that goes into each and every sale to actually happen. So it's no longer a luxury that we need to have an accurate sales report, or to just get a rough estimate of what I'll be closing the month, if I'm going to be meeting my target. Now we have more difficult conditions, the situation going on in the world. We have greater competition. We need to look under the hood, and we can't have that blind spot anymore. We need to know what our teams are up to and what their pipeline is like so that we can actually help them. So what does that actually mean practically? It means that we need to track activities and not just results, right? Now that leads to another question. Okay, how can we track our team activities if our teams aren't even reporting those activities? And there is where we are faced with a classic problem that salespeople don't like to update their sales reports. They don't like to go back to a computer, open up a laptop, fill up a spreadsheet, or even a CRM. They just don't like to do it. And, who can blame them? Who wants to go back at the end of a long day, open a computer and start to rack that sales report? It's just not practical. And that's where the digital tool comes in. You need to equip your salespeople with, it's like giving them a digital personal assistant that sits in their mobile phone to guide them on the optimal actions they need to take. And I will elaborate a little more on what I mean by that optimal action. So we also need to get the result of that interaction. What happened? So we suggest and we capture. But also, again, that challenge I talked about earlier, people don't like to report what they're doing. So again, it has to be engaging. And that's where gamification comes in. You start to allow them to earn points on everything they do through the application. The best practices in sales, it's really not about the tool as much as it's about the underlying best practices that are behind it, the concept that's behind it. So we incentivize those best practices by giving them points, and we gamify that through a leaderboard where people can start to earn cups and medals and badges and drive healthy competition among the teams. Now that will allow the manager to be able to track and guide the teams in real time. Today, any manager, any sales leader or supervisor would be sitting at his or her desk and just trying to chase the people and the team and ask them, where are you now? What are you doing? Okay, let me know when you're back. And they're kind of helpless. But, in contrast, if they have a digital solution, they will be able to track and guide their teams in real time. They just log into the app and they can see all the calls as they're being done, all the deals that are in the pipeline, maybe the ones that are stuck, and they would give comments that would in real time pop up in the mobile phones of their team members for their action. So these tasks would come and we would know if they were actioned or not. Again, that's a black box usually, where you pass a lead on to a colleague and you don't know if did they really call them or not. This is a valuable interaction and valuable business that could be lost. So once you you have the tracking, you have the guidance, then the suggested actions are coming in place, and I will talk a little bit more about those suggested actions, the optimal actions. So we, in the longer term, that's the kind of the intelligence that we'll be building, that we will start to have data that will give us valuable insights on the dynamics of our business. With all that outcome and data gathered, we will understand, all these campaigns that we're doing, are they really effective or not? Which sources of leads are better than others? Why are we losing some clients? What are the reasons? What are those competitors that keep popping up for us? What areas of weakness does our team seem to have? So many essential insights that can help us drive our business in a much better way. So, at the end of the day, here again, we're talking about optimizing those human interactions, and how this diagram I'm showing you here is basically giving you the framework on how leveraging a digital solution can help improve those human interactions dramatically and increase the probability of success and increase the focus and get the numbers up. So basically, what we are trying to do here is, ideally, in an ideal world, when we talk about those optimal interactions, it's targeting the right customer at the right time with the right product or message, and through the right salesperson who happens to be in the same area, who speaks the same language, who has the right level of seniority and the right product expertise to speak to that client. So can you imagine that all of that can be handled digitally rather than doing it manually? And if you're able to really get the right salesperson speaking to the client quickly, to the right client, then the likelihood of success is so much higher. So really, that answers a fundamental question for any salesperson at any time of the day. They would be thinking, who should I call now? And then they would get up that optimal client that they should be reaching out to. So let me give you some examples on these optimal actions. So it could be things like appointments that are set. That's a straightforward one that you probably have on your calendar, but also you have the warm leads that need to be actioned immediately. So they pop up in the phone and I take action. Campaigns that we are doing, deals that are forgotten, or clients I've forgotten to call in a while. That is so important for relationship management. I'll talk about this a little more later on client relationship. Deals that are maturing, referrals that have come up to me. Now, imagine I'm an expert in investments. My colleague isn't, so he passed a lead to me. Client is interested in investments. And so I can, it pops up in my phone and there I go. I call that client. So as also collaboration internally with other team members in other departments. So product anniversary. So that's another thing that we have with, those large insurance companies. It's all about the anniversary or the expiry date of the policy. So if I don't call the customer at the right time, then that upon the renewal, the client could very easily go to another company. So I have to call at the right time for the product expiry. My manager might assign a lead or a deal to me. Again, it will pop up for my action. So all of these opportunities will come to me. Again, I mean, my human mind won't be able to do that. That's why, again, you need a digital tool to help the salespeople, suggest to them the optimal action they need to do. Now, I got that optimal action. So what am I going to do? I'm going to actually go ahead and, get in touch with the customer in whichever form that is. I will either make a call or a meeting or even send a message. Now, best practice in sales. This is, worldwide agreed upon, no matter what product it is that you're selling. You need to capture 3 things after every call or meeting with a client, after every interaction. First, I need to capture what happened. What did I say to that client? Nobody knows that except me and the client. So I have to write that down while it's fresh in my mind and before I forget. So that's a quick note. The second thing, I must capture the follow-up. That's a specific scheduled date and time that will, again, pop up for me at the right time for my future action. So the next follow-up is very essential. And the third thing, which a lot of companies and organizations, it was very surprising to know that they're not really so keen on updating their deal pipeline. So if I'm talking to a client about a specific product, then what is the situation now? Has the client agreed to, provide the paperwork, or has the client said, no, I'm not interested? So what is the status of the deal right now in the pipeline? So I'll talk about this a little bit more in the next slide, but can you imagine that if I capture those 3 things very easily and seamlessly after every call or meeting, that's going to take about 15 to 30 seconds. We timed it. And, my sales report is done. That means that I don't have to go back at the end of the day and remember everything I've done. If I do it as it happens throughout the day, then my manager can see it. Then my work is done. Then I've got my plans for the future. So it's really that simple. And because it's embedded in the mobile phone, it's super easy and very handy to use. So please, again, these are all best practices that can be followed if no matter what it is that you're selling, banking product or not. I hope that everybody focuses on that and that you have a sort of methodology around which you are ensuring that everybody is following that best practice. So back to the third point that I was talking about, which is the deal. You'd be so surprised to know that some companies are not really having a tight grip on their deal pipeline. It is super important to know the dynamics of the pipeline. How many deals do I have in each stage? How can I drive them further? Is my pipeline drying up because I'm not having enough opportunities? Am I losing the deals? And which is, by the way, it's absolutely fine to register that, but I need to know why I lost those deals. Is it a problem with the quality of the list, or is it a problem with our product, or what seems to be the problem here? How can I drive it? What deals are stuck in my pipeline, and how can I move them forward? So all these essential questions, that is really what everybody should be looking at. And in a lot of organizations that we saw, people are just, putting guesstimates at the very, very best on what the pipeline looks like. But here, if you're using a digital tool, you'll be able to drill it down to very specific conversations with specific customers. So also, when it comes back to incentivizing best practice, that's where gamification comes in. We want everyone to follow the best behavior and to track their pipeline, and that's how they earn their points. These are some screenshots here of the gamification screens in the app, the leaderboard, the trophies that you start to gather. You compare yourself to the top performer to know, I've got just 2 more calls and I'll make it. I'll be able to get that medal, or I'll be able to be number 1. So all of these things are really essential to drive engagement, because at the end of the day, it is a culture change. So moving from a manual to a digital way of work is not very easy as it seems. And we've obviously done a lot of implementations with many teams, and we know that there are star performers and there are others who kind of struggle a little bit. But when you have this kind of platform, it makes it a lot more engaging to get everybody on track. Sales competitions are traditionally very, very effective in driving sales, but the problem is always about getting the leaderboard. Usually you have to wait a whole week at least, or maybe at the end of the month, to know who's number 1, number 2. But when you have a real-time leaderboard, the engagement is so much higher by the teams. So that leads to another essential thing, which is the role of the manager, the team leader, or the sales manager. Those guys have also KPIs to track the activity, to collaborate with the team. So now when they have a digital solution, they will be able to, they will be able to really evaluate the performance of their team members, because they have the calls and the meetings and the effort that they've done. It's no longer just about the closed deals. It's also the activities and the effort. So for example, if I'm leading a team and I have one person in my team who is doing 10 calls in the week and closing 2 deals, and another one doing 5 calls but closing 3 deals, that's a 60% closure versus only a 20% by the first guy. And it will give me a lot of insight to know, okay, so that second team member, what is he or she doing right? I want to know, so that I can, everybody else needs to learn from that. And the first one, who seems to be trying so hard but struggling, I want to know what seems to be the problem. Is it phone techniques? Is it, do they need training on the product? Is it closing, objection handling? Or maybe they're a completely wrong person for this job. What seems to be the problem? And all of this kind of surfaces when you have the proper data. As Peter Drucker said, you can't improve what you can't measure. So here, when you go digital, you will have the data that will allow you to have the metrics in place to measure, what people are doing. And back again to the KPIs of the manager. So the manager must do proper coaching. Every single person in the team needs to be coached. And that coaching session needs to be registered between the manager and the team member, so that they both know where the weaknesses are. The team member needs to show that he or she has taken the training course. They're doing their additional calls or meetings that they're supposed to do. And there's no surprises when appraisal time comes. Everything is already done, and I know where I was falling short. I know where I can improve. So that is the role of the manager now, that can really drive. It's like a coach that is blind, but now that coach can see exactly the field, what's going on with the teams, how they can improve the performance, and so on. So we need to make sure that the manager is doing the coaching, and that the manager is also doing the huddles. Those sales huddles should be done regularly, taking attendance, taking note of the main points that are mentioned. Also very, very important to keep everybody on track. So that is how you can upgrade the capabilities of the sales teams. If you're a good salesperson, you can be even better. You can be a great salesperson. You can be fantastic. And it's all about looking at, breaking down the effort that you're doing, and how you can then reach the results. So looking at the bigger picture, you can have a view of the dynamics of your sales engine, if I can call it that, on a global level, on an aggregate level, also on a very specific, you can drill down to a specific team member, but you can also look at these valuable insights that will help you direct the business in a much better way. Without data, we wouldn't be able to know, where we need to focus on, where our weaknesses are, where we keep losing some deals, what sources of leads are better than others. We cannot simply continue to do business with our salespeople just using their personal notebooks, writing the notes in the personal notebooks, or doing a standalone sales report on some random Excel sheet. We cannot just leave it to chance anymore. We need a clear picture of our overall sales engine. So if you remember, I mentioned earlier the customer experience and the relationship management. I just want to touch upon that very quickly here. We, just as a general statistic, that relationship managers who handle a portfolio of clients, who are responsible for this client relationship, usually actually engage with only about 30% of their clients. So can you imagine the huge opportunity that is missed? 70% are not properly, may not even know that I'm their relationship manager. So one of the KPIs given to the more senior relationship managers is to make sure that they are calling their clients on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be a sales call in this case. It could just be a relationship call, a courtesy call. And you can divide your client base into tiers. So you could say, for example, the tier 1 clients should be called monthly, tier 2 every 3 months, tier 3 every 6 months. For example, this is all configurable. But you want to make sure that you are engaging with your clients regularly, and you have to check when was the last time that you called the client. And so it will pop up for you. And if you don't make that call, it will show as being overdue, as the client being overdue. So again, this will help you focus on clients that you are forgetting, and focus on cross-selling opportunities. What each client in my portfolio, what gaps do they have, and therefore what products can I propose to them? Another key thing is that I can build a profile about my customer. So, we have all of these fields, profile building for the key customers. I want to know, as many details as I can about them, about their context, about their preferences, how many children do they have, what investments do they prefer to do, what cars do they like, what hobbies do they have, things like that are very, very important in building the profile of the client. And that leads to relationship building and, of course, a more sustained revenue stream from these key clients. So I hope it's clear for you about that, analogy with the Iron Man suit. How really the capabilities of the salespeople can be dramatically augmented, and we can encourage real-time collaboration. The customer experience is a lot better as well, because now there is a continuity in the relationship. So if, for example, I leave the organization and a new one comes in, a new person, RM, relationship manager, comes in, they can pick up that profile and find out all the history of the interactions and the discussions that previously happened, and just continue. So from the customer's perspective, it's really an improvement in customer in experience in interacting with that organization. But I don't want you to be scared of that Iron Man suit. Really, you need to look at it's really not that complicated. Everything that I mentioned to you, you can have today for your teams in a very short time, and it can deliver results very quickly. So you need to look for a solution that is really easy to deploy in a short time. It's quick to adopt by the teams. It's designed to be user-friendly. That's so important because it's really going to be a culture change, migrating from manual to a digital way of work. And you don't want to spend too much. Avoid those complicated multi-million-dollar implementation that takes, that take 24 months to deliver. But truly think about digitizing your sales channel, providing your human teams with a digital solution. This is really the best thing you can invest in, because it will help increase your sales. It's about growing your business, and it has a tangible return on investment in a short time. Results are guaranteed. If people use the solution properly, you will definitely see results. I hope you got a feel of how it's driving that sales improvement. And I really want to leave you with a very simple question, like, are you looking at your sales engine? Are you really opening up the hood and looking at the intricacies and the dynamics of how you are able to close your sales? Because your competition is already going digital, and you don't want to be left behind. So my advice is that you track your activities, not just your sales results. You keep a close eye on your sales pipeline, and you try to coach every single team member to upgrade the sales capabilities. And this is really our specialization. We would be very happy to give you more insights about that. I hope I give you a good overview. I truly wish you great success, and I hope you build strong, fruitful client relationships and continuously grow your business. Thank you very much for this. And yeah, please tell me, Glenn, how did you find that?
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I mean, I'm all about interactions and relationships, and the fact that you're tracking activities to me is very important, because I am very much, I've always prided myself on being a nurturing kind of person from a relationship standpoint. And some of the touch points that you had in there, such as, well, what do they like to do? Do they have any children? It's getting kind of behind just the, well, you're the regional sales manager, so I have to sell this to you, right? You're personalizing you're using technology to help personalize um, the whole process and getting to the human interaction without necessarily just immediately going right to the end goal of, okay, did you book the order, right? Did you sell? Did you close the sale? So I think that part of it is often underappreciated, right? We often hear lots of times that it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 kind of meetings or connections to actually close on a transaction. But this would kind of make the process, because you're actually tracking then the progress, right? If you're
Yeah.
the manager kind of evaluating the team, you're coming back and saying, well, okay, wow, look at this. This person has no trouble having having the interactions, right? Getting to the point, the touch points. Oh, maybe they need help on the close part, right? The old ABC, right? Always be closing, right? But
Yeah.
maybe the C part is the struggle for that person. And by using your technology, you could probably, as the manager, really be able to isolate that and say, look at this person. She's terrific at all of these guys. She knows the client base cold, but oh, maybe she needs a little bit of a boost here on just the last part. And this tool strikes me as a way to do that, as you go through the process. So prior to you're forming Digiteam here, when you were back in banking and things, how much of this did you practice on your own and say, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have something like this? And was that part of the entrepreneurial journey for you?
Absolutely, Glenn. I mean, actually, this idea had been brewing in my mind for, I think, more than 12 years at least. More than that, actually. But it started to to take shape when we started to have those smartphones, because I was always struggling to get people to follow the discipline. I always designed. I still have my very old designs for just spreadsheets where people had to come back. I tried to make them as user friendly as possible with drop downs and everything, but still it was such a struggle. Now that mobile phone is in everybody's hands, you can leverage it, and we have really seen incredible results, Glenn. When I started the journey, I started off with a client. So we worked together on building. I came to them, I approached them with a prototype, and they said, "Oh my God, we love that. Let's really go ahead with it." And that's when I really took it more seriously. I invested a lot of time and money, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to do this full time." And that's another thing that I always say as an entrepreneur. You need to validate your idea early on and be sure that it works. I mean, I know that I've felt that idea brewing for many years, but still I needed to have a solid client in place before I really jumped in and focused on it completely, left my job and just did that. After I really had a real life client. um, so that's when we started, and since then it's been expanding and growing. And it for me, when any software that I'm buying, even when I was from the bank side, I used to meet vendors for to sell software. They were selling software to me as a company, and I would evaluate it from the perspective of the business. And I would, for me, that software is really the core experience of other implementations. It's not just about the software. It's about the how it's designed to help the business to help achieve the results, and all the experience and expertise that's been put into that. So every single button that we have in our application is well thought of and is based on feedback from our users. We are just obsessed with user feedback. Someone telling me, just add a shortcut for me. I want to say, call customer tomorrow. We added that. A manager comes and tells us, I want to filter that shows me yesterday's achievements, because when I'm doing my morning huddle, I want to talk about yesterday's activities. So we added a filter called yesterday. Things like that are constantly coming up, and we've been so busy during the last year and still this year as well, with new enhancements around workflow, around stagnancy of the deal stages in the pipeline, collaboration, moving the deal between different team members and tracking the turnaround time. So yeah, I mean, sorry, I just got
No, no,
you
that's
got me
fabulous.
started on this, but
It's your
I'm so
passion. It's your
passionate
passion.
about that.
No, it's your passion. The what I found really interesting, and I am certainly the last year, right, with people working remotely, not necessarily being in your office, um, that collision factor that we used to talk about at some of the places I've worked at, the ability to bump into somebody isn't necessarily there. So the fact that you have this digital personal assistant now with you, right, and you're getting
Yeah,
like reminders, like you said here, I think it was clients forgotten, right, and not so much
yeah,
forgotten, just not remembering them at the moment, right? And I've had this happen certainly over the last year. You try to keep touch with people. You send them an email. You make a phone call. But every so often, and it just happened to me this week, where all of a sudden somebody will name a company. It's like, oh, Jane works there. I haven't talked to Jane in a year, so I sent her a note, and we're
there
gonna
you
talk.
go.
We're gonna talk next week. But because everybody tries their best, but from a capacity standpoint, having a little bit of a boost, because not relying
Yeah,
always on your own memory, or from the famous movie "It's a Wonderful Life," where you put strings on your finger, and each one represents, oh, that represents this, right? It kind of helps you along the way. Now, the gamification part, I think, is really, for a uh, certain age bracket, certainly it makes it pretty challenging. How about from a team building standpoint with the gamification? I can see the personal side of it, where it's like, oh, I, I'm two touch points away from getting another badge, and the competition. How about from a productivity standpoint with the team? Do the team members kind of engage with each other and help with each other, or does it become almost too much of a challenge, and it's like, well, I gotta beat him or her? How does the interplay work on the gamification with team members?
actually, it depends how the game is designed. So there are games where we could have teams competing against each other, by region or by product, or by branch versus another branch. So in that's where they collaborate together. But to be very honest with you, when there's the individual competition, everyone's on their own here. But yeah, you can have team games, and that's where the collaboration is amazing. And when you mention team collaboration, again, we want to drive the teams to work together towards a single goal, which is to serve to serve the customer, or to be customer centric. So as I mentioned earlier, not just for gamification, but if I'm incentivized, if I come across a client who requires a mortgage loan or mortgage finance, and that's not my specialty, and there is some methodology that can prove that I referred that client to my colleague who's a mortgage finance expert, then that would encourage the collaboration around a single cause, which is meeting our client expectations and requirements. And it would make me comfortable to send over that client, to refer that client, because I know that it's registered, that I'm the one that created the client on the system, and I can send that client with a note saying the client is looking for this or that in my name. It's registered, and then I can also collaborate with my other colleague and see if he has actually called the client, or taken it further, and so on. So in terms of team collaboration, it's really a game changer, Glenn.
Mhm.
I mean, you can't imagine how are we working without this? I mean, people who have our solution are like, it's like lights turn on and we can finally see what's going on, and we can finally drive the best practice, and Yeah, it's a win-win for everyone. Really, it is.
Well, you
Because
kind of
I
did.
refer a client one day, and other days another colleague will refer a client to me. So, it works that way.
You're kind of digitizing the concept of I may not be the right person, but I know who to refer you to, right? Or I know a guy, and you're kind of connecting the dots digitally through that kind of thought process. You know, you also mentioned
Exactly.
from a manager standpoint or even an HR standpoint, it sounds like this is incredibly helpful for kind of the performance appraisal kind of
Yeah.
part of anybody's year, right? Or the coaching or the mentoring standpoint. So I can see from a human resource standpoint this being very popular as well in helping take on that process. Which, as everybody knows, you get to that, oh, I got to write 12 reviews. Here we go. You know, it's not everybody's favorite time of the year, but if you have a tool like this, where it's you take a look at certain aspects of it, it's got to make it a lot less frightening to have to actually sit down and then do that kind of work because it'll be really at your fingertips. You know,
Exactly, exactly. And those coaching sessions, if they're done in a timely manner on a regular basis, then there's no surprise, and everything is documented, and everyone is relaxed about it. Whether it's the manager or the employee, both of them, there's clarity on the situation, and it's all, again, it's all about really improving the skills. If someone is just very difficult to deal with, maybe they're in the wrong role altogether. So you'll
right,
be able to
right.
identify that. And unfortunately, in the past year or so, there's been a lot of layoffs, and people were like, okay, it's very difficult, but based on what am I going to choose who to keep, who not to keep? So at least, again, if you have a record of everyone's coaching sessions, their appraisals, everything is a lot clearer, and it, yeah, I mean, some difficult decisions sometimes. And in sales as well, the teams are always growing or shrinking depending on the economic situation or the circumstances. So you really have to make sure that you're holding on to the best, and whoever is struggling and has potential, you want to know how you can help them. Some people think that going digital is about monitoring or policing the people, but it's more about really helping the teams improve their skills, and really take them to the next level.
Yeah, it
And
really
that's why, Glenn, the sales the sales numbers increase. I'm sure you can imagine that with everything I talked about. Really, it's guaranteed to improve your sales, and that's the most important thing that any organization is looking for right now. It's growth.
no. In the end, that's the results, right? I mean, you're taking engagement, and you're able to point to then those types of results at the end of the day as it goes through. Now, it's industry agnostic, right? Almost any industry, it works for anything. It's not limited to financial services. It could be manufacturing, it could be healthcare. I mean, it's really a relationship management system, from the way
Absolutely.
from the
Yeah.
way you described it, and it's built on best practices, right? As you said, you've got your foundation of the types of things that everybody knows works, but for no
Yeah.
particular reason over the course of time, sometimes different things wind up lagging behind. But you're making it easier by saying
Yeah.
you know what to do, and here's a little nudge on how to go on how to follow through with it and take it to the end, right?
Exactly. As they say, common sense is not always common practice, and it's about there's a little element of discipline that everybody needs to adhere to, and one of the number one reasons why top reasons why sales is lost is just because of lack of follow-up. People just forget um, to call the client, and that's where the best testimonials we get, Glenn, are from our users, our salespeople themselves who use the app. They come back and they thank us. Whenever we have a sort of a meeting, they say, "Thank you so much. I wouldn't have remembered two of my deals. So on average, if they're selling like 10 products in the month, I had one of, I remember his, maybe I shouldn't mention his name, but he would tell me, this month, two deals, that's 20% extra. 2 deals I remembered thanks to the app. And I called the client on time, and the client really appreciated that I called on time, and I got the deal. So, it's actually not rocket science, Glenn. We're not claiming to be doing something, very complicated here. On the contrary, but we're leveraging the digital technology to help us really follow that best practice, and that's the challenge.
You're helping somebody who knows what to do. You're enabling them to follow through on it in kind of a seamless, easy, and kind of fun way when you throw in the gamification side of it, right? And it's
Yeah,
wouldn't it be nice to everybody always writes to-do lists, right? And sometimes we wind up doing things that are on the to-do list. So I always have the habit of I go back and write it on the list and then cross it out to at least feel
yeah,
better about it. Now, but if I was doing that digitally, right, and you're getting, wow, I'm getting a ribbon or I'm getting a badge for this. Uh,
yeah,
Again, yeah, and I just listened to a leadership talk from an admiral at a commencement address a few days ago, and it's all about starting the day off with completing something, right, getting a task done, you're getting it off the list, and
yeah,
waking up and having the digit team kind of like you said, yesterday or today, you've got that kind of snapshot. It gives you the opportunity really to feel good about yourself, to drive that day and get to the other side successfully, right, and help the business
exactly.
grow, which is
Yeah, you
really.
can prove your effort, Glenn, because a lot of salespeople go to their manager and say, "I've been working so hard," and they want to show that they've really done all that effort. But and also, especially the ones that have to travel around, do client visits that are remote or some, they can. It actually captures the geolocation as well.
Well,
So I can.
no, absolutely. But you think as a manager too, it would be a useful tool because let's say somebody was having a little bit of trouble closing on something. By looking at the data and looking through the Digiteam kind of snapshot, the manager probably could also kind of analyze and say, you're calling on the wrong person. Yeah, I know this is a great relationship for you, but that's not the decision maker. Maybe maybe
Yeah,
maybe we need one more level up, or who else does this person know? So I mean, from a business intelligence standpoint, it really seems like it's almost endless, the possibilities for success. Well, this has been great. What a tremendous product.
thank
Congratulations
you,
on all your success, Mirhan. It's what a
thank
just absolutely delightful presentation. Thanks for being part of our leading entrepreneurs of the world today in our webinar here. We wish you nothing but success. It's a tremendous product. I mean, I took a whole bunch of notes. I've learned at least 6 different things today. Just
Oh,
listening to your
thank you.
presentation, and I'm so happy that you joined us today. Nothing but success in the future.
Likewise.
Congratulations on moving forward, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Okay.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you. It's really a great opportunity for me. I enjoyed this talk with you very, very much, and I'm so glad that there's been some, benefits, and I hope all the listeners as well will benefit from it. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good evening. Thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you.
Best of luck in the future. Take
Thank
good
you.
care.
Same to you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Bye.